What's up everybody, I'm Matt Brody and I am super excited to have you on the channel today. If you are a first-time visitor here, this is a channel where we talk about photography, video, family, life, faith, things like that. If you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe because that's what the cool kids are doing. If you've been following the channel for a while, you know that I love to vlog with the Canon M50 and I've done a couple of videos about it. But one thing that I haven't really talked about is one of the biggest drawbacks to the Canon M50. Now the Canon M50 is sort of the smaller mirrorless camera that Canon came out with, and it's perfect for vlogging because it's got this flip out screen that you can use and all that kind of stuff. The disadvantage of it is that it takes these M series lenses, and quite honestly, there just isn't a really good set of M series lenses yet. So this is the 11 to 22, and I think it's an f4 to 5.6. So getting your fast lenses and things like that is just not something you can really do with the Canon M50, unless you get an adapter. Now the adapter will allow you to put things like this 24 to 70 or a 70 to 200, or even something like an 85mm 1.8 prime lens. Any of your regular Canon lenses you can use on the M50 if you get the adapter. Now, I went to get the adapter and I went to B&H and I saw something interesting. Canon makes this adapter and it's about $190. However, Velo, which is a third-party manufacturer, makes a adapter that's about a third of the price at around $60. And I thought to myself, could that $60 adapter be just as good as a almost $190 adapter? And if it's not, is it a third as good at least? Is it worth it? So I've actually got both adapters here, both the Canon and the Velo, and we're gonna test them out and we're gonna see if the Velo is just as good as the Canon, or if it's not as good, is it going to be a value for the amount that you're gonna pay? Now, right off the bat, I do wanna just do a quick visual comparison. The thing to note about these adapters is there is no glass in the adapters. It's just almost like a spacer. So there isn't any quality that's gonna be lost by inferior glass. It's just a pass-through. So knowing that, and knowing that there's no actual glass involved in this, looking at these two, they look identical and they feel identical. There really isn't any noticeable difference in these. So for all intents and purposes, physically they look and feel identical. So to use the lens adapter, all you do is you just put it on your Canon M50 like you would a lens, and then you can put your Canon lens on in front of that. And so it basically becomes kind of like a spacer, but it allows you to use your traditional DSLR Canon lenses. So in this case, I'm actually using a Sigma 24 to 70. So in order to do this test and to make it as accurate as possible, I have two Canon M50s and two Sigma 24 to 70 lenses. And what we're gonna do is set everything up the exact same, put them side by side, and do some comparison shots. So we've got both M50s loaded up with the adapter and a 24 to 70 Sigma 2.8 Art Series lens. So the first test is gonna be a video test at 24mm, and we're just gonna kind of have Beav walk in and out of the frame. We're gonna test the autofocus to see how well it tracks, see how fast it takes to focus on things like that. And then the second test, we're gonna go in and we'll do it at 70mm, just to sort of change up the focal length and see if that makes any difference.
And all that it demands, well, here's your chance. Focus on the good things, nothing on the bad. Forget all your needs, focus on the task. Now are you ready for it? Now are you ready for it? And they say you're a long shot, maybe you should pass. Well, look down at yourself, show them what you have. Now are you ready for it? Now are you ready for it? If you believe in all that you see,
All right, so now we're gonna test the face tracking, and we're gonna zoom out to about 50 millimeters, and we're just gonna have Jessica move around and see how well this tracks her face, if it makes any noticeable difference.
Will you listen to the plan and all that it demands? I say again, woo! Focus on the good things, nothing on the bad. Forget all your needs, focus on the task. Now are you ready for it? Now are you ready for it? If they say you're a long shot, maybe you should pass. Well, look down at yourself, show them what you have. Now are you ready for it? Now are you ready for it?
All right, so we're gonna do some photo tests now. So we're back in at 70 millimeters to take a photo test. Both cameras are set to manual, all the exact same settings, and we're just gonna take a picture at the same time, just so that we can compare everything. All right, so we're gonna test out the image stabilization features now of these lenses. And again, we're shooting on the Sigma 24-70, so everything's the same. But we're gonna kind of stand next to each other, shoot them on the swing, see what happens, and see if there's any difference. This is way harder than it looks, trying to keep these even. I don't know if that's a very good test or not, but that's what we did. So the only thing it looks like that we've seen any kind of difference with so far is that it looks like there's a slight exposure difference, and we can't tell if that's a camera issue, or if it's a setting on the LCD, or if it's just something that has to do with the adapters themselves. So what we're gonna do is set it up. We've got them set up the exact same. This camera, which was mine, is showing up a slightly brighter. So what we're gonna do is we've got the lenses locked down. We're gonna switch bodies and see if that stays consistent. And if it does, then we know it's a camera issue. If it doesn't stay consistent and it shifts, then we know it's something to do with the adapter. So what we're seeing here is that after switching, it looks like, at least on the LCD, that the camera with the third-party adapter seems to be like just slightly brighter. Maybe not even a third of a stop difference, just enough. And it's not enough to worry about or really mess with, but it is noticeable when you compare the two side by side. So it looks like what it is the difference the adapter makes is very slight. In this case, this camera is set to 1/320th of a second, and to make it look the same, this camera is set to 1/400th of a second. So that's the difference. It's not a full stop, it's not even a half stop, it's something more like a quarter or a third stop difference, and it's easily something that can be compensated for, but the camera seems to recognize that it's overexposing slightly, but it's the same settings on both cameras.
So as you can see, these perform almost identically, and I'm not convinced that the difference in the exposure is actually from the lens adapter itself. I don't know if it was just a slight difference in where the cameras were placed and how the exposure was being read, but even if it was from the lens adapter itself, the difference in that exposure, that quarter or maybe even a third stop, isn't enough to warrant the extra $120, $30 that you're gonna pay for the Canon adapter. I definitely think the Velo is worth the money. You can't go wrong with it. It's a third of the price, and in my opinion is just as good, and I don't see any difference in overall quality or functionality using this third-party adapter versus the Canon adapter. All right, well that's pretty much it. If you have an M50 and you were interested in putting on some Canon lenses and you were looking at getting an adapter, I think the Velo is the way to go. That's where I would go. So I hope this video was informative for you. I hope it saved you some money. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. That helps out the channel a lot. If you haven't already, subscribe so you can be part of our community here. And if you have an M50 or you've used one of these adapters, leave your experience with it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it from you. And until next time, God bless, keep shooting, and we'll see you soon.